Welcome, everybody. I hope you guys are doing well. I'm live here with Blake of Disembodied Tyrant. Brother, how do you do everything? This is the actual start, like now. I had my false start, yeah.
How do I do everything? I don't know. You just do it. You know, you just do it. You
Okay,
just sit here and you just something needs to happen. You sit here until it's done.
okay. Blake, I have
Clearly,
a million questions I want to ask about you because
brilliant answers.
I love that, dude. Dude, seeing what you guys, again, I want to use the word you guys as a band and entity. I know you guys have like a group going and like touring and stuff, but like always, especially seeing the credits, like you are doing so much when it comes to Disembodied Tyrant. Like it's not just like
It's
guitar.
been
It's been everything. It's guitar, you do vocals, you're doing fucking mixing. Dude,
yeah.
how, like, where did you learn? Give me your story. I want to know the Blake story
Uh,
of how the fuck everything came to be. Like
well,
how did Disembodied Tyrant, where did you start with, like, everything? Like, how did this happen, bro?
well, it started. I guess I have my parents to blame because
Mm,
they started teaching me drums at a very early age. I think it was like three or four. My dad's a drummer,
right.
and he made me start learning it, and I loved it. It's all I did for. I think I'd only played drums up until like 12 or 13, and then I picked up guitar.
Mm,
I'm just very obsessive
right.
over music and stuff, and ripped guitar for a little while. Never played in a band or anything. Just learned like Van Halen songs and shit.
Right.
And then I got into extreme metal thanks to Lamb of God. And I don't know. I watched all those Periphery studio documentaries that they used to post,
Oh my God.
like
Okay.
the P2 ones,
Right, right.
like 480p. It was so sick.
P2
I
goaded.
would watch them.
What's
I would
what's
watch.
what's your favorite Periphery album?
Oh, we gotta go. It's gotta be P2.
Okay.
It's gotta be P2. If I'm being honest, it's. I love Juggernaut when it came out, but the older I got, the less I like it. But
Hmm.
nostalgia hits hard
This
for
time.
Juggernaut.
Juggernaut's really good. I like it's one of
It-
those. I remember it
It's
coming
great.
out and it being not like but like just like okay, it was after P2, so it was like a little less like, oh my God, everyone's
Yeah, how are
still
you
like,
gonna follow that up?
it's
You know?
really hard to follow up P2.
Yeah.
And then like especially like as I got older, I was like this is like almost sicker than P2. Like this is kind of crazy.
Yeah. The themes that all tie in, and just like the amount of stress that had to go into making that record fit the way it does, and how everything calls back to itself is an insane work of art. And
Right.
I'm really grateful that I didn't have to write it because
Yeah.
it sucked.
I'm
I can
really
only imagine.
well, but dude, what you are writing is also like kind of fucking like it's crazy because I hear you're combining a lot of very modern elements. Like, of course, there's deathcore, there's the symphonic
Mm.
element, there's a little like electronic dubstep stuff, which I really
Yeah.
appreciate. I think that's really sick because that's very new, right? Like, there's not many bands other than like I think especially when it comes to the dubstep, thal core moments that I've heard do that. Like other than maybe Mirar, which again is a very
Mm.
small pocket of the modern metal space right now.
Yeah.
So like here,
I blame
yeah.
Igor. Igor is where I
Uh,
got it.
Igor
I
is where I
got.
got it.
I
Okay.
steal lots of shit from Igor.
I say lots of
I had
shit.
lots of shit. I love
Right.
him. Love it.
Dude, yeah, it's cool to hear you combine all those elements because, and something I keep saying too when it comes to deathcore, like a lot of bands are doing different stuff. A lot of people are just going pissed and just like angry.
Yeah.
But like this is one of the situations where like you are somehow breaking that sonic barrier of what's considered actually the possible heaviness right now, like the heaviest of heavy, and you're
Thanks.
expanding that, like you're blowing it out more, which again there was big moments when like Lorna Shore did the thing, right? And like
Uh, yeah.
a lot of just like deathcore bands kind of pushing it. But I love that. I feel like okay, now we're in the next era of again people pushing heaviness, pushing brutality in a way that hasn't necessarily to be done before. Like what when you're writing something, like what's I guess your thought process and all of this, and even like influences that kind of bring it all together with that.
I don't really think of it like the next level of heaviness, really, because I know where everything came from.
Gotcha.
Like I know what I stole from Darko.
I know, dude. It's so.
No.
How old are you? You're like 24, I think.
Yeah, 24.
Dude,
Exactly. The
mad.
first person to get my age right. The
Dude,
first one.
Mad respect, because it's so I rarely have people on the show when they're talking about their influences and it's like new stuff. You know what I mean? Like that's so cool that you're like, yeah, like Darko P2. I'm like, oh wow, like that's wild. Usually everyone's like, yeah, the early 2000s and like the 90s, right?
No, not me.
No,
Not me. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't really think of it like oh, it's the next step of thing. I'm really glad people do, you know. But for me, it's more like I really like what this band does. I really like what this band does. I really like what I do.
Right.
Let me put it all in one song and see what happens. Like when you did your video for Malphasian,
Yeah.
and I was finally able to watch it. I was really surprised at the comments that people how like it sounds like this guy had like a whole EP of full length's worth of ideas and just put them in one song, because I did not have that perception of the song at all. It was very much a I don't know, it just kind of just I just sit here.
Right.
I sit here and I write something and I'm like, okay, this sucks. I'm gonna sit here some more.
Okay.
And I'm gonna rewrite it. I wrote that song almost 3 years ago now.
What the fuck?
Yeah. It takes me forever. I take years
Okay.
to write. Poetic Edda took well over a year.
Oh wow.
Yeah. They're all really old.
Right.
Sucks.
But while you're doing that, are you like at that time also, I guess, developing everything, like developing production skills too? Because that's such a big element of modern musicians and modern metal. Like it's not just make the sick riff, make a sick song. It's also be your own producer and mixer. Which
it's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny, the producer thing. I joined DT to actually advertise my productions.
Oh my.
I didn't join to write.
Gotcha.
So I've had a really big interest in producing for the past like 6 years or something. I didn't give a shit about writing songs.
Right.
I didn't think I could. My whole life I tried to write songs, could not write songs. I hated everything. They all sucked. And then I joined DT and they're like, I'm thinking to myself, oh, well, maybe they'll let me mix and I can like get some work from this.
Right.
And the old vocalist Donovan was like, hey, how about you write the songs? I want to see what you do. And then I wrote the first song, Brimstone and Fire. And I was like, oh, I can write, but I can also produce and I can also mix.
Right.
And then that vocalist left and I was like, well, I guess I can kind of scream.
Just do everything.
And now I'm here.
Yeah. Now I'm here.
Kind of worked out.
Dude, that's yeah. And again, like I got to give you incredible, like not only appreciation but respect, because seeing that, I mean, I grew up in my own, you know, and back in my time, my own era of like the gent kid, you know, like bedroom producer kind of vibe, where again, like obviously DIY, like I need drums. I guess I'll figure it out. Like I guess I'll figure out how to, you know, program drums. Like I kind of need this to be a mix. I guess I'll, you know, sure, like. Watch some YouTube, you know, take some URL, like whatever. Like
URM's where I learned everything.
Okay, got you. Yeah.
Every single thing I do, production or mix wise, I stole from a mix. Or that's everything's stolen. You know, it's all stolen. It's just combined in a way that I don't think has been done yet.
Right.
And I think that's what gets people.
That's what it's about, and that's like it's like I think nothing has been like it's impossible to do something 1,000,000% original because everything's influenced by something that's influenced to something that's influenced.
All derivative.
But it's about how many influences and kind of the soup and package you kind of bring to the table and doing it in such unique ways that it then creates a new standard. Right, which is wild because I'm sure in 10 years people are gonna be like, "Oh, bro, that sounds like Disembodied Tyrant." You know, it's all like new bands coming up. Just like now, there's bands coming up, and as soon as you hear Symphony, even though like respect to Lorna, it's like they're not the first band that did Symphony. It's like, oh, it's Lorna core, or like you know, with whatever kind of element that is. But it's so cool, like having that perception and that perspective to like be like, yo, I guess I'm gonna do this. I guess I'm gonna do this. I'm guessing I'm gonna do this. And then at the end, and it made me laugh. And again, like incredible respect to you, dude. Seeing just like I see credits and I'm like Blake, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I have some sort of mental illness that just makes me do this.
Do you
I would love to go to another mixer, and I'd love to go to a producer, and I would love to do those things, but every time I try, or every time I mix something myself, I always just leave the leave that with like, no one's going to care as much as I do about this. No one's going to sit here for 3 months and rewrite and
Right.
produce and remix everything a million times until it's just the way it needs to be. So really, it feels more out of necessity than it does like I want to do everything. I just think no one really gets DT enough to do it, which I guess might sound a little conceited, but
Well, I think it's, and again, I can relate to a different capacity, but also I think a lot of modern musicians now, when you spend so much time on something and it's really like kind of your baby, which again, I know you, like you mentioned, there are obviously also other members to DT, right? But it's like, especially when you see just like credits, like it's like, okay.
yeah. Well,
Right.
they know they're they're like my bandmates. I love them so much. We're all brothers now after touring together
Right.
naturally, and all were best friends before that too.
Mm.
But their main roles in the band are to keep me sane.
That's good. To keep,
That's mainly what they do. So I'll like, even though they don't really write anything, I come to them all the time and I'm like, hey, what do you think of this?
right.
This sick. Could you see yourself playing this live? What would you want to do? Like, I'll go to my drummer, Kevin. I'll be like, hey, let's work on these drums together and, write some fills that you would want to play.
Right.
What's your thing? And like Lucas, my bassist, I'm like, you want to do some thumping? Let's figure it out.
Right.
Guitarist, Dom, just like, what would you do here for the solo?
Right.
What's your mind do? So I definitely go and get their inputs on things, but
Mm.
I don't think they want to have a hand in the writing because I got us here.
Yeah.
And they're just like,
Well, when you have that foundation so strong, and again, if the
yeah,
foundation is centered around one member, I mean, that's normal nowadays.
oh, that's very much the
It's
case.
rarer in the metal scene, but it's becoming more normalized. But it's, I mean, obviously in the pop world, it's vocalist producer, like it's time old tale,
Always.
right? So the music scene now kind of moving towards, especially with so many people growing up with the DIY, like I guess I'll just fucking learn it myself.
Yeah.
It's really cool to see that expand into, again, things like what you're doing, again, like bands like Marar, Darko, I mean, two people, right, plus producer. Like, it's really sick to see that mentality of how far people can push things when there's a creative freedom of, sure, like obviously everyone gets their input, but also there's like somewhat of a soul driver and a foundation of
Yeah,
like
there's
where we're
something very
going.
special that happens when it's a sole visionary
Right.
type because there's no restraints, especially in this day and age. Like there's no limiting factors. If you
Right.
can't afford something, you can pirate it. If you can't,
That's
there's
been the
no
case for a minute.
excuse.
Yeah.
There's no excuse to be limited in this day and age. Just and especially when you're just one guy,
Mm.
you can really get away with like seeing things through, which is why I can write songs in 3 years
Right.
because it's just me
It's just
writing it.
you. Well, that's what I'm saying. And to come back to what you were saying about like it being, mainly you, but like, and like having to sometimes if you go to a mix and trusting other people, like in the end, it's still your guy, it's your guy's baby and it's your guy's vision. And sometimes, and again, I've had this problem myself sometimes with things I've done where it's like, I want like the super pro mix that you throw some money at or the super pro whatever, right? Or the producer or the specific drums done by a particular person that's really good. But then it mixing maybe necessarily with what you do, even though you really love what they do, it's just like, it doesn't hit that same vision that you might have of what the final product should be and should be delivered as, which is something that's not easy because a lot of times, especially when there's people doing something really cool, everyone wants to get their hands into it. Everyone wants their super inputs, like go to this mixer, go to this, go do this, go do this, go do this.
Yeah.
And then things can get really convoluted and it'd be like, well, what's
And
the
expensive.
and expensive, very expensive, dude.
We gotta remember the reason I mixed it myself was because we had no money. And
Yeah.
I liked the challenge of it, but yeah, getting multiple hands in on a pie is a really, really difficult thing to do. I feel like if I were to go to a producer, I would have to just completely take my hands off, just write the song and give it to them and be like,
Right. Because you have to let the person do their job, but it's so hard when like the vision of the job, how you want to tailor
we're just
it.
gonna butt heads and then I'm gonna fire them and it's gonna be a big waste of time. It's just I know what would happen. So
Right.
it's
Well, yeah, it's crazy again. I mean, it's not like I'm much older than you. I'm only 4 years older than you, but like again, even to have an early 20s, like having that vision is wild, dude. And the fact that you can do everything, dude, blows my like that won't stop blowing my mind every time because like
Well, I was I
yeah.
was homeschooled, so I had ample time to learn,
Got
which
you.
most people don't.
Mm,
So that's really the great enabler here is that I just fucked off and did shit like this for this has been my whole life. I've been
right.
sat in the basement just
Just
grinding it out, figuring it out,
just
So
grinding it out. Are you like so do you I know you probably spend a lot of time writing and all that stuff. Do you spend time consuming kind of content in that space to also like how do you do your R&D? That's the best way I'll maybe ask that. Like how do you do your R&D to when it comes to advancing your production skills, when it comes to advancing your maybe your vocal skills, your guitar skills? I don't know if that's maybe a multi.
funny, actually,
Yeah.
I don't.
Oh.
I I just I used to a lot. I used to watch, the mixes every day. I
Mm,
used to download new
right.
sessions and work on them and try different things. But when DT started, I stopped doing all of that. I
Wow.
just the practice is the
The
songs.
big thing, right?
Yeah. So I just and it takes me so long. I don't really have time to like sit here and be like, oh, let me work on this niche aspect of my productions to further something in DT. I don't have any time for that. It's always just DT needs this. Let me figure it out.
Right.
Now, I haven't practiced my guitar apart from my live set in like 3 years. Like, I don't practice vocals either. I just record
How'd
and
you learn vocals, if I might ask that? Because that's another like, dude, like I don't know how you're doing all the the modern things. You do the noises, and then obviously just your natural tonality is very present. It's very forward. It's great.
thank you. I kind of I kind of tinkered with it when I was a teenager,
Hmm.
but I learned false chord when I was like 15 and I lost it. I fell out of love with metal for a little while, so I stopped screaming for
Hmm.
years, totally forgot how to do it and then relearned with Fry in like 2020 and but didn't really put any effort into it. I was like, "Oh, sick. That's how you do a gutter." Wow. So sick.
Right.
And then I just kind of let it just kind of drift away. And then I joined DT. The other vocalist left, and I kind of saw an opportunity to like play guitar and scream at the same time. And I'm like, no one's done that
Right.
in deathcore yet. Maybe I can get away with it. And so when it came time for Divine Stigmata to come out, my first EP,
Right.
I just jumped in and tried to figure it out. Throughout that, I learned how to do highs.
I got you.
Um, but the real thing was just because I had somewhat of a developed producer mind.
Hmm.
Even though I wasn't very good as a screamer, I knew what was good. So I would
Mm,
sit here and redo everything and just get the perfect takes as often as I could. So it kind of propped me up to be a bit better as a
that makes sense.
vocalist than I actually was. And
Oh.
just doing that time and time again through demoing and stuff, it just ended up being enough reps for me to get a solid grasp on it.
Mhm.
But honestly, I'm a vocalist last. Like
How
that's the thing. I'm
give me your tier list for yourself. Like what is all the like from top to bottom what you're at least most confident in when it comes to those because there's so many different aspects drums fucking guitars like what is your own list.
definitely writing is my biggest strong suit. I think
Mhm.
writing, producing, right under that.
Mhm.
Uh, guitar
Mhm.
underneath that, drums, and then vocals at the very bottom.
That's crazy, dude.
They're just
But
not. They're not. They're. I don't know. I just don't like screaming that much either. I just find it kind of annoying because it's a human instrument. So it's like
right.
some days it just doesn't fucking work. You
Mm,
have to take care of it. You
right.
can't drink cold water. You
Uh,
can't eat tomatoes. There's all these like little things that'll just fuck with your voice,
right.
and it's so annoying. So I just don't.
How do you
I'm just
balance that? Like, do you feel like any kind of anxiety or like need to balance all of those things and kind of keep them up to like, let's say modern, like, what's modern par of like what's happening, like production skills, mixing skills, vocal skills, guitar skills, or any of that?
Yeah, I keep an eye on the scene. I don't really listen to much deathcore anymore, but I'll go through and like I know Pain Remains came out,
Yeah.
and I
Right.
I know how insane that record is.
Yes.
Like I do not tolerate Lorna slander. by the way.
I do not no tolerating Lorna slander here.
I do not tolerate Lorna Slander. They are one of the best deathcore bands. Them and Shadow Intent, the best deathcore bands to ever do it. The musicianship is insane. The songwriting is wonderful. The mix and production on that record is
It's sick.
it's insane. So yeah, I keep an eye on the scene and the new Shadow stuff. Incredible Melancholy is one of my favorite metal records of all time.
Right.
I keep an eye on everything, but I just have my own idealistic thing that I'm trying to go after, and I kind of use the other stuff in the scene kind of as stepping stones as to like, okay, that the way the snare has headroom in the Pain Remain mix and the clarity of the transient on that is something I want in my own mixes. So I need to figure out how he did that. And Darko, like, their fucking kick drum is insane.
Yeah.
I want that. The way Tom Barber's mixed and the crazy tones that he uses for some of those songs is very inspirational to me too.
Do you like lock in when you're trying to do that? So like you hear that and then like is it like a I am now here for the next 2 days just doing this kind of thing?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, for sure. But it always like.
Jesus Christ! I'm so sorry, Blake.
Popular man. What was your question?
Yeah, I'm so sorry, man. It's wild day, and I'm trying to delete WhatsApp right now. But in terms of again delivering with all of that, like how like you lock in on something, like if you're learning kick drum or if you're learning fucking whatever, like trying to. What's the right word? Keep up to. I don't want to use the word standard because you're making your own standard, right? But keep up to. Like,
I mean, it is a standard though, for sure.
I feel like mixing
is a bar.
right. Yeah.
There is 100% a bar that you have to meet. But I guess really that comes down to mainly when I do start mixing. Like I'll throw up my Metric AB plugin with all my references loaded in. Actually, I think I can tell you,
dude,
what I have.
We get a behind the scenes here, bro. I'm like, there's points where I hear your mix and I hear what you do. I'm like, yo, you want to like, can we do something? Because like your mix is sick, dude. I'm like, damn, bro. Like I usually hit up Buster because he's kind of a cool like standard of just like really.
Buster's incredible. I almost hit him up to do the Tower.
Really?
But I took too long to write it. So I was like, well, fuck, I guess I got to do it. And then I did it. Now I'm glad that I did it because it turned out pretty good. But
how has that been like? Because I've also never seen such a new project like go so crazy. But also again, I know that's not like one of those like came out of nowhere overnight. Like now people care. Like you guys have been grinding for a minute, especially you, right?
No, so not really. Honestly, it did kind of come out of nowhere.
Oh,
like,
okay.
I wrote. My first song was DT's first song, and I think Poetic Edda, the single, was I think my fifth song that I'd ever written. So for me, it was like as soon as I started, people were paying attention, and it was really weird because I expected it. Like I didn't really write stuff because I know the social norm in the scene is like prepare to eat shit for 6 years. And then, and then maybe people will listen to your stuff no matter how good it is. And I abided by that. And that's why I never really tried. But for some reason, DT, it just worked. And I didn't even do anything either. Like I just released the song. I didn't make content. I didn't post really. I would just release the song on Slam Worldwide. And then I'd do it again.
Right.
And then I did it again. And I was like, oh, wait, there's a fan base now. And then I got with Synestia and Poetic Edda happened and all that.
I was gonna say Poetic Edda. I know that was like a big moment because I remember that coming out.
That was the breakthrough.
Right. Yeah. And hearing it, I was like, whoa. Like, okay, this is there's something new and wild like brewing here. You know what I mean? Like we're going now. And I was like very intrigued. I remember checking that out for us. I was like, this is really sick. And then of course you kept dropping. And then just more and more as I listened to it. Again, I just became intrigued as just a fan of your music and being like,
thank you.
Who are these people? Where do they come? Like, what's happening? Because this is so it feels
I'm
like
there too. That's where I'm at. I wake up in disbelief every day. I'm like, holy shit, I have 200 and something thousand monthly listeners. That's absolutely insane.
are you,
What the fuck?
label anything like label or just you guys like
There is, but I can't say anything yet.
okay. No worries. I meant sorry. Up to, like whatever. Like currently.
Oh
Or
yeah,
something.
it's all been 100% independent.
Okay, got you.
I did not put a single dollar into putting DT out there. I saw a few comments on Reddit, I think, where people were calling me an industry plant, and I'm like, bro, I have no friends. I don't know anybody. Like, I'm not an industry plant. I'm just a guy in his basement. It's like, yeah.
I'm just that needs to be a quote. I'm not an industry plant. I'm just a guy in my basement, brother. Like what
Dude,
the
yeah.
like
Straight up.
that's so insane. Well, I think people because when something happens that's so I guess shocking and kind of shakes the standard, to be honest, of the music scene. And it seemingly comes out of nowhere. People want the first instinct is like, no, this can't just be someone
just
being
invalidate it.
yeah, right. There's no way that there's just gonna be some kid that's just kicking, doing everything and winning and all this. Like, well, that's why when I saw that, I was like, oh no, there definitely is, and that's why I was like, I need to talk to Blake in some capacity. And I remember messaging you. I think it was like before you went on tour 2 months ago. I was like, it was right after we were listening to your stuff. I was like, no joke, on stream. I was like, I need to just talk to this dude because it's insane seeing what he can pull off and see what he can do. How modern it is, man. Again,
it's very modern. It is very, very modern.
Yes.
Yeah, that was intentional. I wanted, especially Malphasian.
Yeah.
I hated that song for so long. That song was never going to come out.
Oh damn.
Dude, the fucking like the chorus melody is like do 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 do, and
cool.
it feels like clown music to me, and I'm just like. I straight up had that like in the discard pile, like when I was thinking about what songs I wanted to be on the tower. And my girlfriend was like, I'm going to fucking kill you if you don't use this song. This song's insane. And I'm like, no, it sucks. So I spent a year rewriting it and all this different stuff. The whole middle section with all the crazy breakdowns. I wrote that after seeing Knocked Loose live for the first time.
That's good inspo time, dude. After a Knocked Loose show and you just see them go arf motherfucker, and it's the most chaotic, energetic thing. You just instantly want to go home and either lift or write bangers. Like it's one of the two.
Exactly. So I chose the latter, and that middle section happened, and I was like, I think that would be sick live. And then the ending of the song was a complete nightmare, dude. I went through like just an insane amount of mental strife on that song. Aberrant too. Aberrant was awful. Aberrant I started writing before Poetic Edit came out. It's a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of mental illness. You kind of have to allow yourself to be insane for a while.
That's fair.
Like,
do you
losing it.
Do you game? Like, is there any other downtime stuff? Is that the relaxer from the music?
I try.
Okay.
But I'm like, I get too mentally ill, and I'll like be trying to relax and trying to play a game, and I'm like, no, you got snares to mix, bro. God.
Just mid CS match, telling your teammates or like, yo guys, I got a dip, bro. I like this snare is missing some 400 hertz, and it's bothering me right now. Like I got to get out of here, bro.
Fuck, this sounds like cardboard. No, yeah. No, sometimes if a game's good enough, it'll get me sucked in. Like when the Cyberpunk DLC came out, Phantom Liberty, I got super stuck into that, and I would just put on Infinite Annihilator and just run around in that game. And then I wrote Aberrant because of that. So a lot of times it does influence what I'm doing if it's good enough, but like I guess my threshold for like for media quality is just really high, so I don't enjoy a lot of things. Like I'll play a game for like 3 hours and then I'll just play it again, and I wasted $80 on it.
Oh shit. No, I got you. Dude, I haven't played I can't play single player games anymore. I can't because it's too much. If my downtime is downtime, it needs to be in some capacity interacting. So if I'm playing a game, it's multiplayer. I have to. There's no way. It's not even then the point of the game. It's just to like shit talk with the homies, right? Like that's
that's a very important thing for humans.
Yeah, that's it.
So
Other than that, I can't like if you're writing and doing your thing, and then like, oh, I'm gonna go like The Witcher. I know is amazing. Like play The Witcher. I can't sit there. I can't
dude,
do it. I'm too
I
busy.
can't.
Yeah.
I think I've sank around 600 hours into The Witcher.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's a great game.
That's a
It's
great game,
wonderful
dude.
game.
How
Yeah.
is
I don't know. I can't. I've never been into multiplayer games because I never had any friends.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah.
Well, League, you can just get toxic at randoms. Like, there you go.
Yeah, well, I since I live in the middle of nowhere, my internet usually is so bad that
I
there's
got you.
just not even a point in trying. I used to when I used to live closer to a city and we had a really good internet connection, I would play COD and Battlefield 4 mainly. But outside of that, never really been into multiplayer just because I didn't have anyone to play with really, and randos or randos.
Right. I got you.
I don't know. The older I got, the more I enjoyed a narrative
Narrative.
experience.
That's
Yeah.
fair. When it comes, I guess, to writing too, like lyrics, obviously, always a big thing. Which, how, like, take me through the process. The DT It's so funny when I say DT, I always think of Dream Theater, but now I'm
No, it's
replacing
same.
and I'm replacing that terminology now with Disembodied Tyrant. Take me through the DT non-super prog man. How the lyrics, I guess, and that all goes in the storytelling. What you guys are doing
Well,
that way.
the lyrics are interesting. I will write a song mostly, and then I'll sit there and like start hearing patterns over the material. And I heard Rick Rubin say like years ago that when Red Hot Chili Peppers or System of a Down had to come up with lyrics, they would come up with the pattern first,
Right.
and then the vowels, not even words, just vowels and what felt best over the part. So that's what I do.
Okay.
And I'll just record straight gibberish, like not even words. I'm just making sounds, but I'm screaming, so you can't tell.
Do you keep some of the sounds at the end because you're like, oh shit, that was a 6
I
sound?
100% do.
Okay,
but
gotcha.
I hand it once I do that, and I'm happy with all the patterns. I will hand that to my girlfriend, and she is very. She's really good with words. I'm not. I'm not good with words. So she'll. The Tower is a concept EP that she mainly came up with that I helped.
That's so sick.
And she did the vast majority of the lyric writing, and I'd come in and like confirm or deny some things.
Confirm
and
or deny.
We'd go back and forth and stuff. But she's really the one that championed the lyrics mostly.
Right. Do you have moments where there's something, because I do the same thing with my girlfriend too, right? Where it's like you have something sick and then you show it to your partner and they're like, gotta be real.
Dude, I stopped. I don't show her shit. I literally had to stop because it was like fucking with our relationship. Like I'd get so attached to ideas.
Right.
And I'd go and show her, and she'd be like, I think it can be better. And I'm like,
right.
I'm fucking kill myself.
Oh my God,
yeah.
dude.
No, yeah, I totally relate.
Yeah, well, a lot of people at least have that like fail safe, or like a group of people, like one or two sometimes, where they always show like the tracks, right, as like a double checker, especially when, I mean, you're sitting there all day, right, just like writing a banger. And
yeah, you have no idea how sick something is.
Especially after 8 hours, like you're just like,
it's gone.
It's just noise now. I think you're like,
Yeah.
maybe it's cool, and then you wake up the next day and you're like, oh shit, like okay, we're cooking now, you know, like
either that or not.
Yeah, it's that or okay, no, we got way too deep into it. But having that again, kind of almost fail safe, is definitely an interesting dynamic. It sometimes can be obviously helpful where it's like, okay, like I can, someone else is here to give the second eye, the second ears, and like the double check almost. But yeah, it could definitely be frustrating.
What I benefit more from usually with that is maybe not in the beginning, but now for sure, I'm much more confident in what I'm doing. So when I show someone something, it's 100% what I take from it is how I feel while they're listening to it. Like if it gets to a part and I feel a little nervous,
right, then
I know that part's not good enough, whether they love it or not. If I feel like, oh, this breakdown, oh, that scream's not,
right.
Could have done, if I have any of that whatsoever, then I have what I need.
Gotcha.
But now at this point, other people's feedback often just gets in my way most of the time.
Gotcha.
Like
Dude,
just because
I respect that you have a vision. You know.
yeah, I guess. I mean, it's never that clear though. It's never like, oh, I'll show my guitarist something and he'll be like, "Oh, I think you should maybe go here with this."
Right.
It's not like I have, "No, I need to do this instead." It's more just, "Okay, I'll try that. And I'll try it. It won't be right." And it's just never is. It's just never right.
Right.
Like no matter what I do, the first like 8 ideas I have or someone else has is never really the right one.
Hmm.
And all it takes is just to sit here and figure it out until it is right.
Hmm.
So it's just so much more convoluted than like being told that what you're doing is great or not. It's, I don't know. Can you tell how mentally ill I am with this?
No, dude, I think you're a thinker, and I think that's a really
I
cool thing. Like
very much
I'm
am.
sure you're very self-reflective, and again, I know that perspective of being a DIY musician a lot, and going through and learning all that stuff, listening to demos nonstop, and like just figuring it out, right? Because no one will capture what you're trying to maybe fully capture and express better than you can, and also just very fairly, no one will just be more invested in that than you, right? Like
That's really what it is.
yeah.
Because I don't think there's anything special about me or what I'm doing. I think the only thing that's enabled this is my willingness to suffer through it
Gotcha.
and just put the end product over absolutely everything else.
Right. Make a banger.
That's really what it comes down to. I don't think I'm more well equipped or I have just better ideas than anyone else.
Mhm.
I think I'm just more willing to sit here until I do, you know?
I do. Yeah, dude.
I think that's what
How was the tour? Again, I know we were talking, and then you guys. I saw clips, by the way. Insane. I'm still I'm getting baffled when I'm like, you're doing again guitar and the vocal thing. Which like okay, I've seen maybe like metalcore bands back in the day, like whatever, yeah. Trivium and Bullet, but they're not playing
No,
the craziness.
they're not playing tech deathcore.
Yeah, tech deathcore. Like, how was the tour, I guess, in general, but also, like, how was it performing all of that insane material in front of everyone?
Well, those are two very separate
Okay.
questions. I'll
How
take
was the
the one
tour?
first.
Yes.
The tour was incredible. It completed me for sure.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah, I was leading up to the tour. Everything had been on the internet, so like all of the dopamine rewards I had gotten were like reaction videos, like yourself. Or
I'm glad I could contribute to the dopamine
yeah.
at some point.
Thanks, bro. It was great. It was awesome.
Right.
But actually getting out there and like meeting the people that like stuff and like especially being with the bands that I stole things from, like Shadow Intent. Like it's all from
It's
them.
inspired by, like,
Yeah.
come on.
Nah,
Inspired
dude.
by, brother.
Straight up in Poetic Edda, right after my solo in the beginning,
Right.
there's a vocal pattern and a kick drum that come in, and it's completely just 100% ripped off from Heretic Prevails.
Inspired.
Like it's the same. No, it's the same pattern, bro. It's the same thing.
Insane, man.
It's the same fucking thing. I just took it
Right.
and it worked, and no one cared. Chris noticed though. Chris Wiseman, he noticed.
Okay, Chris, notice.
We talked about it.
We talked. We figured.
We talked about it. But yeah, hanging out with them and like seeing them perform their set every night, and Flesh God Apocalypse as well. They did the symphonic death metal thing first.
Oh yeah.
So to have like the two bands that I'd say I'm the most derivative from, being able to watch them every night and hang out with them as peers was such an incredible experience. Meeting all the fans, I was at the merch table every night, so I got to meet everybody that wanted to meet me. Usually, it was just an incredible experience. It was so much fun. I can't wait to do it again. It definitely was. I'm really glad I waited to do this until I got back because I am a completely different person.
Oh, dude, 100%. I know we were like discussing. You were like, "Well, I'm practicing." Can you? And I was like, "Oh yeah, like I know what the shit you have to practice. Like, no way."
Oh
like,
right. That leads us to the performance aspect.
Yes.
I was breaking out in like stress rashes.
Oh no, really?
Before we left. Yeah, I gave us 2 weeks of rehearsal for the for the tour, and we spent the first week just building the rig. So I was like,
Oh
okay,
God.
we're
Okay.
7 days down. I can barely get through this. I can't get through the set. Like everything's fucked. So it was just an incredibly stressful and horrible process because I've never played a show before. I've never screamed with in-ears in. I've never
That
played with a.
that was your first show?
Yeah,
Blake, what the fuck? That's
yeah,
insane.
yeah. It was very stressful though.
Okay.
It was very scary. Never playing with the drummer before, and then Heavy Metal 66 hits his fucking cymbals so hard, and we're in this little rehearsal room, and my mic is just picking up all the cymbal bleed, and I can't hear myself. And I've never played live, so I'm freaking out. Like
Right.
I don't know how this is supposed to feel. I don't know if this is right
Right.
or wrong. So it was just horrible stress, night sweats, the whole nine for the entire 2 weeks leading up to it.
Damn.
And then the night before we leave, we decide, you know what? I'm not going to have my guitar for half the set. So I only had the guitar for 2 of the songs. That made a big difference
I can imagine.
playing the entire set and screaming it was like I literally would have passed out on stage.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, for some reason, getting up on the stage and doing it, like going into the first show, I could not get through the set comfortably at all. Like I would fuck up all the time. My voice would just stop. I couldn't hear anything. It was very scary. But for some reason, it's so much easier on the stage. I don't really understand why, but I had pretty much no problem.
Feels right.
Yeah, it felt right. Yeah. So
Well, and again, I didn't have I don't know if you guys rolled by Orlando, but I didn't get to see your guys' set. However, even just seeing videos and even just like the feedback, it was like, dude, I never in a million years would have guessed that was like your first experience on like live,
Thanks,
like in any capacity. It was very impressive to see you guys do that, pull it off, and like it was clean, man. It was clean.
Thank you. I have my team to thank. Really, the rest of the band has toured. They have played many shows. They all knew what they were doing, and they definitely carried me the whole time. They eased me into it. They did exactly what good bandmates would do.
That's awesome.
So,
I love this is so wholesome. I love hearing
great.
things like that, man. That's so
they're,
nice.
They're my best friends. We have a thing, DT. We call it Die Together because we're all so tight. And it's actually on my Furman. You can't see it.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's cut off slightly.
Yeah, I know.
I'm going to stretch your screen just so people can see it. And on Spotify, they won't. Oh wait, I did the wrong stretch. No, and I just made Blake super big. There we go.
I'm gonna bring it in. I got him on the Mac, dude.
Look at that.
Dude. Oh, other way.
Die together. That's sick.
Hell yeah, dude.
Hell yeah. Well, dude, that's cool. I'm glad you had like again just a genuinely very good experience, and that like
it was incredible.
That's wild, man. That's wild. So, man, like how do I even like what are your guys like? Do you have a big like, hey, we want to do this, or we want to go in this, or we want to tour the world? Like, I know you guys are still newer in that, like in that space. Like, what does DT want? And I know this is maybe a big picture, like that legacy that you guys are starting to create and making a big impact with. Like, what is your guys' big hope, or I guess goal?
End game.
And yeah, what's the end game?
The end game is to be the biggest and best deathcore band on the planet. That's what I'm hoping for, at least.
There you go. Heard it here first. Blake, dude, you're a gem, and I feel like I could talk to you for like hours. So thank you for taking time to come and like shoot the shit, man.
Bro.
It means a lot. Dude, of course. Yeah, sorry about the random getting spam called. I forgot to close WhatsApp on the computer. I forgot how to close it after. But nonetheless, guys, can we get some claps for Blake of Disembodied Tyrant? I was going to say DT, but I'm like, no, we're going to do it. We're going to do the full thing right here. Disembodied Tyrant. Dude, I'm always there when you guys release new bangers. You let me know. It's so sick to see what you're doing. Again, as a fan of modern metal and the crazy shit happening, and a fan of what you do, fan of Disembodied Tyrant, like, thank you and you guys for like continuously being a band, just like some other bands too, mad respect, that are pushing shit. Because if not, Everyone plays the same thing and gets bored. And I get bored too as a person in the scene, and it's not fun for anyone.
The scene did get really boring for a little bit.
It did a little bit, Blake. It did a little bit, man. So, like,
Yeah.
again, you guys coming out doing your thing and evolving deathcore in a very unique way, which, again, I really appreciate how not only sure you have the symphonic elements, but you have so many electronic elements that I feel like because you guys are going with that and kind of starting with so many different layers, that it's going to make it so much easier for you guys in the future as you maybe open up or as you get extra influences, you know what I mean? And want like cool, unique sounds. Because for your audience, it's not going to be like, oh, and all of a sudden now, you know, it was this and this. It's like, no, you guys, I can see, do a lot of stuff. You might listen to a lot of different things and you want to include that right away to kind of set the precedent of like, yo, like sky's the limit. We're not going to be, you know, just this type of band or this thing. And that's really sick, man. So yeah.
Yeah, endless. You just can't stagnate, really.
Yeah.
You just got to keep always evolve. The day a band rests on their laurels is the day that band dies, in my opinion.
There you go. Blake, everybody, show them the love. Check out Disembodied Tyrant whenever they go on tour. Please go see them. I'm jealous as fuck. Okay, I want to see when they hop by Orlando one day, hopefully. And
It's coming.
Oh,
It's coming.
Come say what's up, bro. I'll come say what's
All
up.
right, bro.
Blake, thank you so much, dude. Don't be a
guys.
stranger. And I'm always stoked for new shit, bro. All right. Have a good one, dude. See ya.
Peace out.